To whom it may concern. In this haunting confession, our focus is set on a desperate young man by the name of David Miles. A man with love on the rocks. A desperate man amid his final act. It's a lesson about what can happen when a man refuses to accept the reality before his eyes. Yes. David Miles was a man desiring a big change. And a big change is what he found. An escape from reality for just a moment. Though it wasn't quite the change he'd bargained for. No. All to try and become something he was not. All to create that sense of change about himself in the minds of others too. Yes, it's a confession involving a man whose envy of others was truly an envy of himself. Oh, what cruelties we are capable of, through our wants and needs, envies and greeds, full of judgments not only to others but to ourselves. The themes of this confession are envy and jealousy. The setting, early 20th century. The judgment, cat fever. Just my luck. I had always felt like a stray cat. Yes, I stood in her apartment doorway and wondered why Melinda wouldn't let me in. Another night in the dark and cold air. This was the final act in our dying relationship. No more dates, no more dinners. No more seeing each other. And yet, it had only been a couple of weeks since something had changed. The door was locked and had a set of bars across the front. I waited there in the milk-white moonlight after she promised to be back in a minute. But it had been longer. Too long to release me. To be stuck behind a locked door like this was beyond me. As I stared into the kitchen, making out the edge of the table on a bowl of salad. Red onions toppling and tipping. I wondered if another set of silverware bowl was there. But I couldn't tell. Promises. She had promised to be right back. Just another promise I was waiting for to come true. I knocked on her door. Hey, what's taking so long? I knocked again. Her voice finally carried through the wood. One more second. Melinda entered the kitchen with the cat in her arms. Maddie was so cute in his fur. Cute. Yes, cute. It was a word she loved to use for him. How convenient. The cat kept its eyes on me, so typical, so full of despise as it stared. That new cat was the reason for the change in her. Of course, the cat had to be the reason. Yet again, always occupying her mind and being in her arms, the place I used to be. I turned back to the door, and I asked, "Can I come in?" "Not tonight. I'm staying in with Maddie." She brought the cat up into her neck. Yes. Its eyes squinted and its tail curled over her breasts. "What about tomorrow night?" I asked. "What about tomorrow night?" "No." It was so cold, that reply. She ran her fingers through the cat's fur. I could hear that darn thing purring. "I'm tired of seeing you. It's over." "Don't say that," I said. "God, it's been weeks since we've gone out. Remember that movie? The fun we had? The laughter? It was only a few weeks ago." "I'm not listening," she stood. "What about this weekend?" I asked. "Aren't you listening? It's over. It's done. She turned to close the door. I was unable to stop the door closing. I was unable to stop the door closing. My hands blocked by the gate. She shut it tight. Yes, I still remember the creak. Oh, and then I heard the lock. Oh. I felt the silent, starry night. The cold air, the wind blowing, lifting my hair. As I paced the courtyard, I heard the fountain. And I had tried to figure out why it all had changed. When it all had changed. Yes, I thought back. Things were so different now. If only I could change it back to the way it used to be. If only. If only. I paced the courtyard trying to figure out why it all had changed. I remembered our last night, weeks ago in that movie, the clinging of our wine glasses in the restaurant, over our dinner, our shadows, and the laughter we shared, and how she wouldn't stop laughing, taking my hand and running my fingers along her lips. A trail of red lipstick on the edge of my nail. She brought it down into her breasts, and a new trail fled from my fingertips and left a streak. And the streak glowed in my eyes over the candlelight in that restaurant. And everything was right. Nothing could change us. Nothing. I'd felt her heart beating later in the night. Yes. How I'd remembered us walking the boulevard, our lips kissing at red neon, and the stars overhead, and her hands in mine as we went back to my place. And we made sweet love, fine sweet love. And then she had rolled over and saw the carpet and all my scattered clothes, and she said something.
Oh, wow.
And maybe that's when it all changed. Maybe it was the mess, or my smokes, cigarettes outside of the ashtray, and ashes on the carpet, gray scatters everywhere over unpaid bills. And it was then that she had shot up and dressed herself in a white dress, and it had black flowers. And then she left. There was no farewell kiss. I'd missed the sound of her heartbeat after it fled my bed. She had rushed out of that apartment at 3 in the morning with a frantic voice, with words that seemed to shock me.
I'm not sure if I love you anymore.
That's what she said. After a night like that. That was when it all had changed. Our love had turned the corner. 'Twas a day of reckoning and lost love for me. That was the turning point in time where she had changed her mind. Things weren't the same. I sat on the concrete bench in the courtyard and glanced out to the water fountain. Light blue water sprouting out, and I saw a black cat leap up to the ledge. And I knew it was an omen, as it prowled and meowed, and I knew it needed a drink. And I saw an empty bowl in the nearest apartment doorstep, saw the glow on the milk, the white moon lighted its eyes. Yes. And it was then that I realized the mystery of the black cat. All the bad luck, the mystique, the superstition. And that's when it occurred to me, yes, something did. I realized an answer to all of this, an answer to win back her love. I would visit the witch, yes, I would visit the witch for a love spell, insight into reason. But my mother had said never to court those witches, that they could never be trusted. But I was desperate, knowing Melinda was the one, and I was convinced. I had never met anyone like her before, nor could I ever again. And I always believed marriage was in the cards for us, yes. Maybe a child or two, maybe. I knew that she was just a little lost and needed a little insight. And it was this vision of what we were heading towards, our future together, that I couldn't shake from my mind. A little love spell to do the trick, yes. Suddenly I remembered the 24-hour magic shop, yes, on Cuenca. And all those crystals and gemstones in the window, and the palm readers and tarot cards. And I knew my destiny was there, just around the corner in that little shop. Yes, and the woman that ran it, I think she had the answer. I had heard about her add-ins in the LA Weekly. A few rumors on the street, of course, too, that she had healed a broken love before. Someone's broken heart. It would be a quick walk down the boulevard, and I would be there in no time. Yes, no time at all. Funny thing, time. Inside the shop, I saw an elegant woman sitting with folded arms, and she wore a white dress and shirt, and she had wide blue eyes, and she was calm. The long white dress lifted up over her bare ankles, white as the moon in the wind which carried from the window. Yes, I saw pink and white candles burning on the shelves, and their orange golden halos flickering in my shadows. Potion bottles glowing green, blue, lighting the leaves of dry herbs in jars. The smell, flowery, incense burning, filling my nostrils. I reckoned one scent was patchouli, a stream of smoke carrying in the wind into her long black hair, as she rose from the chair and extended her long fingers with nails curling over, clean and sharp. "Now, what's your problem, dear?" she asked. At first I had wanted to step back, but I approached her. "There's a woman I'm losing. She's grown distant to me. Seems to be pushing me away lately, and I know that she loves me. I know she does." The strange woman's eyes met mine, and I felt her probing inside my skull, as if she was probing my thoughts with some invisible wire. Oh, as if she were reading my mind, sifting through every thread of my unworded secrets. "How can you be so sure?" she asked. "Bad romance is not my specialty. That's a matter you should seek help with a psychologist, my dear. Yes, with a psychologist. But what about a love spell?" I said. "I want her to fall in love with me again." "Love," she said. "What's anyone know about that anymore?" she asked. "Come on," I said. "Everyone knows it. You know it, too." "Oh, sure, and then there's free will," she said. "I have no place in changing any of that." "Not to free will," she said. "No, it should. No good one, anyways." "Right," I said. "Right." The burden of silence filled the room and tested my nerves and tested my thoughts. I wasn't sure of what else to say. And I just sat. Why not another try, I thought. So I said, "I just want another chance at love with Melinda. Just one more chance. To be with her again, yes. To feel her skin, her breath, and her eyes touch mine. She's shut me off, and all I want is another chance. Just one more. It's that damn cat of hers, I'm telling you. That stupid cat. What's it do for her anyways? What?" She glared at me. "Perhaps it's unconditional love, my dear. Perhaps unconditional love is your issue, and for that I can't do a thing. I am so sorry, my dear, about this. Like I said, it comes back to free will. Free will indeed. Unconditional love, I said, but that's what I give Melinda. I give her unconditional love. There's not a thing I expect in return. No, not at all. It's just that I think she's lost her way. Come on, I know you can do something about this. She's lost her way. Just help me help her find her way back to me. Her eyes glared back into mine. They were deep, there wasn't a blink, and her voice had this tone. I already told you, she said, as if to hold back her breath in anger. Fatigue of her patience was growing thin. So she said, free will cannot be violated, and I've told you that, and it must not be. Even if I could affect it, I wouldn't. But please, I said. I reached out, and I grabbed her sleeve, and I pulled her close. She snapped her arm free and glanced back. Very well, she said. There's something I can do. Yes, I'll do something since you insist. Since you're one of those. I'll do something that won't affect your free will or hers. Be it as extreme as it is, I will do it, and I will do it for you. What? I said. What? I felt relieved. I felt hope. What are you going to do? Tell me. So she turned around and she reached for an empty potion bottle. It was empty with dust on the sides, and she ran her finger along the dust and powdered it back into the air. Up into the air, yes. I couldn't wait for her response. And then it came. Her eyes rolled into mine, dark as coal. Do you have a picture of Melinda? This woman, do you have a picture on you? Perhaps one with the cat, she asked. I might, I said. I might. So I reached in my pocket, and I searched. And then it occurred to me, the phone. Yes, I might have one on the phone. I think I do. Yes, I think I do. So I searched the phone. And I searched until I brought a picture of her up with that wretched cat. And that's when the strange woman leaned over. She smiled, pointing at the picture of the cat, and the tip of her long fingernail scraped against the chin of the cat. I was nearly breathless, waiting for her to speak. Now look at this pretty little darling cat, she said. Oh, what a dear. And then she snatched my phone away and approached a table with a purple cloth draped over. And she set the phone down next to a stack of tarot cards. And those candle flames danced and danced in my shadow and in the silence. This cat has been waiting for this moment, she said. Yes, for so very long, this poor little dead cat has waited for this moment. And now it will be done for the cat. Yes, it will be done for this poor little boy that has waited so long for this moment. I will bring it. That's what she said. ever so mysterious. As I sat there and wondered, I had to ask, what are you talking about? It's me who has waited for this moment for so long, not the cat. You must be mistaken. Oh, no, I'm not mistaken, she said. This cat has waited, indeed. Ah, so very long. You see, what I will do is have you trade places with the cat. And the cat will become you, and you will become the cat. For how long, I said. Yes, I must admit I was wondering how long this trick would last. What if it didn't work? For how long, I asked, for how long? Until the next full moon, she said, or as long as it is midnight. Exactly midnight on that full moon. You must stand and soak in the moonlight and meow 7 times. "7 times?" I asked. 7 times in the moonlight. I went to the curtain, peeled it open, and peered outside. She said, "Yes, tonight you'll start with that moon. Do you see that moon, my dear?" And I said, "Yes, I see the moon. Well, tonight you will drink this potion I will mix, and you will meow 7 times at the stroke of midnight. Not one more, not one less, or else you will forever stay as the cat, and the cat will stay forever as you, even beyond the next full moon. This chance to turn back I must grant you according to the laws of nature. This chance you have to turn back. Are you sure I can be turned back?" "Oh, yes," she said, "I am sure. But 7 times on the moon, and 7 times from the next." And then she turned away from me, and I heard her whisper, "Not one more, not one less, or forever you will stay as the cat, and the cat as you, and you will be doomed to be that way forever in the flesh." At first the thought troubled me, I must admit. But what would Melinda think if I was the cat, and I was myself? Yes, I could prove it. And then afterwards, yes, I would prove it to her that she did love me. Maybe I'd find out some secrets. What if there was another man? Confessions to another friend. Confidings. The temptation was great. As the strange woman walked away, I watched her grab the potion and mix it in a bowl. She was adding all sorts of things. She stirred a murky greenish blue liquid into a glass, and then she held the bottle over the dancing flame of a candle, and I watched as she closed her eyes. I took in the smell, and the sound of her voice chanting something filled my ears, and her eyes were pinched tight, and my mind started to drift into an abyss in emotional darkness as if floating in space, until I felt that potion bottle in my hands, and I saw long crooked hair hanging over the chin. And then she led me quickly to the door. She said, "Swallow it down soon. It can't be in more than 1 hour. These herbs are very fragile in this state, my dear. Now go, 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 onward into the midnight moon." And then she closed the door as I stepped outside, and I headed to the street curb. I saw the Hollywood lights and Cahuenga and the gold signs and the towering Pacific radio towers and all of the neon as I wandered on back to La Brea. And I passed by Musos, and I passed by the Roosevelt. Onward I went, back onto La Brea. "Oh, Melinda, by hook or by crook, you will soon be mine," I said, as I swallowed down the potion. "Oh, Melinda, by hook or by crook, you will soon be mine." Yes. I didn't know what was going to happen to me. I didn't know what to expect. I kept walking up to her house, and then I finally reached it, that apartment. Passed through the gateway, and I turned for the stairwell. It was time to change things, all because of that cat. That potion bottle. That moonlight over me. The last drips and drops of the greenish blue liquid inside of the bottle. I wasn't sure if anything was going to happen. I slugged the bottle back for the last few drops that were left, hoping that would speed up the process. It was bitter. It burned my lips and my throat, and I coughed. Finally, a sudden dizziness came on, and the moon grew and expanded in my eyes, and it filled the whole sky. And then came 1,000 sharp needles in my skin, on my arms, my legs, my chest, my face. And the needles were pressing into my skin, and I fell. Oh, yes. My fingers were curling over, stiff as stone, and an ice shiver shot through my spine. And those needles, they kept jabbing, each one sharp, expanding and feeling my flesh, wide and thick as straws, tearing through. Sharp, coarse winters, each one pushing wider and wider, until I crouched over the stairwell and I rolled. My spine was expanding, a needle pushing through the spine, and then more straws coming through, and coarse wood splinters, and more slivers jabbing and cutting, and 1,000 more needles. Oh, and the hairs came through my face. I clenched my eyes tight, everything dizzy, spinning. My thoughts were racing. At first I thought I was poisoned, imagining things, lost in a dream. Not a nightmare. Couldn't be a nightmare, no. It was happening. It had to be happening. My eyes, my breath, everything started to go black. My nose, I couldn't see. My nose felt wet and felt like I was starting to melt. My blood was boiling and my flesh was starting to melt. But my nails felt thick as I reached to touch my flesh. The boiling warmth, the feeling of bubbles beneath the nails, thicker and thicker the nails got until everything went black. I heard the sound of the birds chirping before I opened my eyes. It was a peach tint in my eyes. I saw the sky, the clouds, a familiar lampshade. You see, I woke on Melinda's bed in the morning with furry white gray paws soaked in the sunshine. Oh, I woke with Melinda's hands curled over my back, with my hair draped over, and her eyes were closed to a subtle snore that I had longed to hear for so very long. Oh, I always cherished the sound of that subtle drum beat snore that only Melinda would have. Her eyes twitched on the dreams inside, secret places I wished I could see. I was anything but colorblind. Memories can put the color into all the black and white dreariness of recent days and repaint the moments for the future with color. The way that we wanted to see the world can suddenly become the world. You see, some people think a cat can only see in black and white. Sure, you don't know until you are one. Yes, I saw in colors, all right. It was nothing like waking to the sight of her bare skin, the pink spots, and those smooth curves, and the breasts, and all the shadows of brown beside the pink places. Ever so soft her skin, ever so gentle against my fur. Oh, speaking of fur, I stared at my new fingers. Yes, those gray and white paws in my sharp claws, clear as glass, and yes, it's like peering through a crystal. The sight of my claws as clear as glass, and I let this tail flap over her lap and hit the sheets, trying to wake her. And my vision was different, as if glaring into a gemstone, one of those multicolored kinds, perhaps at a witch shop, yes, or a kaleidoscope, at one of those antique stores. Oh yes, that strange woman had made this happen. Yes, and my wish had been granted. Melinda would love me forever now. Unlike before. Thirsty, thirsty, yes. I was thirsty, I must admit. Hungry too. Milk. A simple sip of milk. That's what I wanted. That's what I needed. Oh, wake up, Melinda. Wake up. I kept slapping her lap with my tail to wake her. And when she jerked, I saw her eyes twitch again. Melinda's blue gaze finally lifted and came into mine, and she smiled. A smile like it used to be weeks ago, over dinner in her living room, with the cherry red glasses of wine on the table. Yes, the final night when we cuddled close, just as we did now. She pulled me in. Oh, sweetie, are we ready to start the day? And then she put her lips to my forehead and left them there with just the most gentle feeling of love I haven't felt in so much time. Oh, weeks for a man like me without love. A kiss from Melinda. Oh, it's like the kiss of death. For the living. Oh, milk. Sweet milk. A sip. A taste of milk I had wanted to tell her. Yes. Anything was better than her taking me from that soft crimson bedsheet beneath my paws, and those flowered pillows, and her eyes into mine in this place we had once made love. Oh, yes, smiles endless into time as she rubbed me. No words. Silence, except for moaning, purring. I gave her my pleading for her to not stop as she kept rubbing me. Oh yes, sweetie, Mama's here for you. And she kept rubbing me. And then she left from the bed, and I jumped up like I'd never jumped before, and I hung in midair before I landed on my feet, as if by a natural instinct, taken by the physical parts of the brain that controlled my reflexes, and I raced down the pine wood floor into her shadows. And I saw her slip into the bathroom as I approached that door. I saw her knees bent over and the round edge of her ankles, heels pressed to the floor, and I heard the sound of the toilet seat coming down, and then a watery sound. Drips, drops, the essence of her being released into the world. And I sat there and I glanced up at her, my tail flapping side to side as she flipped the pages to a magazine. And then it happened, yes. Melinda slipped her blue bathrobe on. That fuzzy, soft fabric cut underneath her knees. And her ankle bracelet shined in the light. The glistens of a diamond flicker. It was the same bracelet her ex-fiancé once gave her. The same one she would never take off, even when we made love. Ha! Talk about despise. I had a bone to pick with her on that one, I must admit. Though I never did. I always kept that secret inside. I glanced up at her, wanting to confess my love. But I had to listen to her voice, which was frantic, as she was shaken by some conflict inside of her as she stood tying a blue knot on her bathrobe. Oh, those words in my ears as she spoke to herself, not knowing that I could understand them all. Oh, Danny's like a dead fish, floating to the top. Lips moving empty, nothing to say, a real dull bore for me. Thought there was some fun times, but I need challenge in my man. Oh, I need excitement. I need better sex. Is there a perfect man out there? Is there? Her eyes closed and she whispered, I thought he was the one at first. And of course she was talking about me. Yes. It was terrible to hear those words. But I played my part as her best friend. A woman's best friend, yes. That's what they say. My purring did stop. It was hard to keep it going after hearing those words. And that's when the phone suddenly rang. And she jumped over to check it. Maddie, you're not gonna believe this now. I've got my stupid ex-boyfriend calling me. He's as bad as Danny. Another guy that won't get the damn hit. And he should have known better than to run off with that young English hard runner now. I watched her inspect the phone and I couldn't believe that guy was back on her tail. How did he know that I was out of the picture? Though I wasn't, as I laid there in her shadows besides the porcelain toilet bowl, and I tried to take it all in. My thoughts were racing. The love she had for me in this fur, as she leaned down to pet me, and I felt her soft fingers. I was glad to switch into this new body. I was very glad. I had no regrets. And then she broke away, only her shadow touching mine, the embrace of invisible things tickling my imagination, wanting her to come back, to lean down and brush another kiss back up against my face. I could only watch, and I did, as she leaned in close. Oh. And then I followed her to the bedroom as she walked away. and I watched her fix her hair in the mirror as her bathrobe slowly slid to the floor, and I saw the smooth crust of bare skin, the pink places again, nipples as pink tulips. And she stood and she glared back at me, and then she turned and smiled and sat next to me on the bed. Yes, her fingers moved through my neck and pressed in, and I rolled my head up into her breasts, her soft skin, my paws on her thigh, sliding, rolling over my chin down into her waist. And I started to purr, and the purring came easily, as you could imagine. She started to rock me and cuddle me, and my lips came down. Came down into her fingers. I love you, Matty. My little sweet sweetie. So sweet, so soft, and kind and gentle. I love you, my dear. That's what she said. And I felt her warm love, and saw the sincere long smile unlike ever before at me, when I was in that wretched skin of mine, the one she always complained about. Yes, when I had the black stubbles of hair that could grow in a few hours after my morning shave, she always complained about. Like the hair in my chest, always too thick. The bristle of black hair she always hated, and then she said it. Yes, she once said it. No more insults. Maybe I would never want to turn back. Never want to leave this flesh as a cat. Never for my purr to stop as we laid there on the bed, and I would never want to become a wretched man again. Despised by that woman and all those other women I loved that had a damn cat. Every damn woman loving her damn cat. My heart no longer to be lost to a feline again. To a patch of fur on a mute beast unable to know a Nietzsche or anything else about mathematics or love. No. Instead, I would be the only recipient of love, the feline taker. Yes, it was my turn in this world, and I deserved it. 10 heartbreaks. A fiancé lost for Hollywood. Now regained in Hollywood. Yes, hell, I'd already paid my dues. I would never want to turn back. Never to become a wretched man again, despised by Melinda and all those other women I loved. Oh, I laid back on the bed as she laid back, and my tail rested between her breasts, and my chin was below her belly button near the bosom. Oh, the feeling of her perfection between my chin like a valley. Oh, my eyes staring down between the two toes into the reflection of the mirror. Love. This was love, my friends. This was love.
In the kitchen, she was kind, so kind, setting a bowl of fresh water and milk on the floor, and a little bit of food. And I made my way over there in the dark round crest of her shadow, and she reached for a bag of coffee, the coffee that I had bought her. And I must admit I was surprised that she still had some left. And she set the bag back in the cabinet and flicked on the switch, and on the light came to the coffee pot. Red light. Yes, it was in my eyes as I crouched over, not liking to eat this way. No, not the best perk of being a cat, having to mow and chow down your food without a fork, a knife, a spoon. I watched her as she was now stirring the saucepan. The smell of an egg, the smell of chopped onions and bell peppers, a hint of black pepper in the air. But then, yes then, all of a sudden I heard, yes, that knock on the door. And it was loud, it was heavy, that knock. And it was relentless. And I stepped back, startled to be so small to such an intruder that might step inside. Thinking of the possibilities of things that could go wrong. So small I was, unable to defend her. What if? What if I needed to defend her? I was so small, defenseless. The best I might manage would be a scratch to the throat, or a poke to the eyes. I could tell Melinda was startled too, as she raced to the bedroom, and I watched her disappear down the hall. "Just a second," she yelled out. "Just a second." As the knocking finally stopped, and I heard a voice through the door, a voice that acknowledged her. And as she ran back, she approached that door. She opened it. And then I saw a man standing there behind the locked metal gate in the distance, blocking the way. And he had a cap and wore a landscaper's jacket. And he had a thick mustache and a flat, wide head and a foreign accent. "Someone's fallen. Someone's fallen. Do you know him? Maybe you can help." He pointed into the distance and he stepped back. And that's when I followed Melinda's eyes as she gasped and opened the lock on the external gate. She stepped out and I raced over behind her, her hair glowing in the sunshine that soaked the sidewalk. Orange was the color that soaked the skin against her ankle. And she glanced down at the collapsed man. Yes, the man, that body, that old body of mine laying there. The one she had grown to despise. My body there before me. I saw my face there. Thick black stubble on the chin. A scar above the eye from having been pushed as a child by my cousin. That scar that everyone had asked about. All the women, the same scar Melinda used to run her fingers over. I saw my hair curled over the brow, and a bruise on the cheek, a red patch, a smear of pain I could not feel. And I was safe here in this fur as I watched my old body. And I started to sniff the scent against the limp shoulders, against the lips I used to move. I took in that scent. Melinda shook the body awake. Danny, are you all right? That cat. Yes, it was in my old body now. It was there. I watched my old eyes open on the old body, those eyelashes lifting, inspecting back at the new me. And I knew that cat was inside my body, that old body, that old cat trapped and doomed to the despise the cat always gave me, the despise she always did too. Oh yes, I was free now to a new home and the bedroom door, off in the distance behind me, a new resting place always in her arms, in a new forever love. And she would come to love me again and again and again. Unconditional love. As she lifted the body, my old body, to its feet. And his eyes, yes, his eyes were weary. I caught them rolling up to the sky as the old body of mine lurched heavy against the doorway. I watched as he stumbled inside, arms wrapped around her shoulders, and I followed them inside as she set him on the bed. His head laid back, the old eyes of mine rolling over to see me and meet these eyes in a sudden squint. A pensive long stare, and I hissed at him. And then I leapt to the floor, sliding toward the dresser on that slippery hardwood floor. Such pleasure I felt. "Matty, please," her voice yelled out. Oh, not even her voice would stop me. I raced out into the hallway and sat from a distance to watch. Through the bedroom door, I couldn't help but to listen and to watch, and to see what he said as she ran her fingers across his bruised cheeks. "Why aren't you talking to me?" she asked him. "Tell me what happened, my dear. Tell me if you're all right." I watched in my old hands, in my old body. Yes, I watched the cat inside clench its fist. "I'm not Danny," he said. And then he started to scratch the sheets as if he was still in my body now, the body of this cat. And he started to scratch those sheets, and he kept scratching and clawing away with his fingers. "I'm not Danny, I'm not Danny, I'm not Danny, I'm your cat. I'm not Danny, Melinda, I'm your cat." Oh, such delight I took, especially when I heard her say, "You're delirious. I've got to call for help." Oh, she would never believe what happened. I watched when she reached for the phone, and I ran away. Yes. Happy the cops would come. The paramedics and the ambulance too. Yes. I would wait and listen for the sirens. I would wait and listen and collect my thoughts about things. And my mind raced. I must admit I started to get a little worried because I started to realize that if he were to die in my old body, I would never be able to go back to that body, and I'd be stuck inside this cat fur forever, bound to paws and whiskers, unable to ever enter her body again, never to make love to her again. Oh, and the thought of that, it put fear into me. But yet in this body, I could enjoy unconditional love forever and ever. But then also came another thought, the crazy thought of a cat having 9 lives. And how I could be bound to another cat's body another 8 times. And then I'd be away from her, separated. Too much to think about, too much to absorb. My heart started to run. Oh, I started to have fear again, and worry thoughts. Yes, a lot of fear. I started to worry about things. Yes. Suddenly I was nervous. What if, oh God, what if I would never be with Belinda someday? Oh, no. No. A lot of time had passed since I had watched the paramedic take away my old body with that wretched cat inside. And I still remember seeing the paramedic lift his body into the ambulance, and all of those red twirling lights and the sound of the sirens as the ambulance drove onward to the hospital. A lot of time had passed, yes. I must admit that I still wasn't sure if I had wanted to change back on the next full moon. to become that corrupted human being again, in that wretched human skin. I still wasn't sure what to do. No. And I don't know how long that bastard had suffered in that hospital, or how many days had passed. Perhaps a week, perhaps 2. And I knew that full moon was nearing, and that I would have to make up my mind soon. And I knew I had seen a change in Melinda. A change, yes. And the change was building after each visit to the hospital. Just like today. Just like now. As she entered this bedroom and I laid there on the pillow with my tail flapping to the sheets, and I watched her change out of her clothes, the bare skin, the pink places, before she slid the robe on, and then she came over. Her fingers in my hair, soft and kind. "Danny's better," she said. "A lot better now. I think he's changed. There's something different about him, my dear. I'm not sure what, but I like the change. I like something about him. He's different. He's somehow not the same." Yes, my fears began to take hold again. The worst imaginings. Suddenly I sensed a secret building in her, something she had wanted to say, something else, but she was holding back, as if she knew I could understand and that I might be hurt, as if she knew. But she couldn't now, could she? Oh, my heart started to beat again. Beat with the fast flutter that became all too familiar ever since I had changed, and the fear of losing her would come and go, and then she said, "Oh, to see him, my dear, on that hospital bed. The way he looks at me now, it's so different, my dear. The way his hand feels in mine when I sit there, and the touch and the glance, a sparkle in the eye. Different, he's different, my dear. Confessions, I thought to myself. The truth is always hard to take when the truth doesn't go your way, when it doesn't align with the way you want the truth to be. Such is life. Such is this life, one of the 9 lives, I suppose, that I now have inside of this cat body. Does it take 9 lifetimes to escape such madness? The madness of humanity that surrounds you, the madness of what may never be. If you are to become human again. I watched Melinda light the candle, and then she dimmed the lights. And I sat on her chest, feeling her heartbeat, and it was slow, it was calm, it was as gentle as she always was. As I lay there on the bed after becoming the cat, the gentle calmness of her breath, her touch, her heartbeat, as her hands laid to the side. And then everything started to slow into a silence. And then I heard her snore, and then another snore, and I could not sleep the night. No, not with the thoughts of her seeing a difference in my nemesis, who was still in the hospital. The difference that she had seen in myself, my old body, the spirit that was now there that wasn't mine. She must have sensed a different spirit, the spirit of the cat that I was now supposed to be in her eyes. And then I heard her talk in her sleep. And Lord knows I had to hear it. Lord knows I had to hear it. Danny! Oh, Danny! Oh, don't stop. Oh, Danny. Don't stop. Oh, Danny. I didn't sleep a wink that night. I was grateful when the morning came, though I quickly became ungrateful. I swear something was different in the way that she was looking at me, and a sense of dread had set in, and I'd meow, roll over for her to rub my belly like she always would. But that was starting to change too. A loss of affection. And so I would meow again and again, and roll over again and again, and wait for her to rub my belly. But as I said, it all was starting to change. All the alienation that I felt, the loneliness that had returned since I had been in this body. I sensed I was losing her yet again. A familiar feeling like all of the past times. Damn that cat in my old body, that fake with my old face, that farce, that fake, that farce, feline thief of hearts. Wretched thief of hearts. That's when I started to question, staying in this fur, what if I was feeling this fur, and the fur was feeling me? Then what? Damn that cat in my old body. What was that wretched dream she had last night? Was it the dream of making love? It was just the sound of moaning that I heard after the snore. The sound of moaning and moaning and moaning, and the sight of 3 beads of sweat. Over the brows, over the forehead. The full moon would come, and what would I do? What would I do? Was I losing her? And then she left the room, and left me to hate that bed, the absence of her feeling on my belly, no rubs, No more, no. Another meow I let out. But her footsteps just echoed away. One last shrill cry of my meow. One last gasp of hope. Melinda, come back. I need to feel your fingers, your touch, to know that everything's all right. One last meow, my dearest Melinda. One last meow. But nothing but silence in return. Damn that old cat in my old body, that fake, that farce, that feline thief of hearts. Damn it. I was losing her. I was losing her. To that farce, that thief of hearts. Oh, Melinda. Oh, dear. Crickets. Dearest crickets. Even the day always felt like night. It always seemed to be dark and black as of late. Even during the day, I heard crickets. The nightmares of the day and the nightmares of the night were all becoming one. Damn that cat in my old body, that fake, that farce with my old face. That feline thief of hearts. Especially after he was discharged from the hospital. She started seeing him again, yes, and inviting him over. And they would take to the bedroom and lay together behind the closed door, leaving me only for the morning hours to re-enter her room after he left. Ah, yes, leaving me to endure that wretched smell of my old skin on her blankets and pillows every other night or so. And I wished I could tell her to wash it off. That sight, that scent. But there were no words I could speak. Nothing I could say. Nothing but the shriek. Ah. The shrill cry of a meow. It was so dreadful. Every night to smell my old skin on her. On her fingers, those gentle fingers that felt like cotton. The smell of my old self. On her neck, on her arms, and her chin, and her cheeks, yes. And it reached the point where I left the room and I hated that bed. For all the scents that I used to bring. Those happy moments with Melinda. I hated that bed now. There was no more that I could stand. No more that I could take of seeing it, no. So I would stay away, and that's what I had told myself, sleeping far away beneath the sofa, in the living room, far away from the smell of him on her, my old body, my old self. She must have sensed my anger too, as I avoided her, sickened to death of smelling his dried sweat on her skin and her chin and her cheeks and legs and arms. Oh dear! If only I could respond, especially when she asked, "Mattie, my dear, what's wrong? What's gotten into you?" You see, she sensed it too. My failing battle to win her love, the retreat, the pull away. It wasn't silent treatment. No, it was my way of surviving the pain, to stay away. I was losing to my wretched nemesis, that cat. I was failing to own her love, even in this wretched feline's fur. Oh dear, and not even switching back could fix the fair love. No! Not even being this cute cat, this little cat she had always loved and chosen over me. "You're not cute like him," that's what she used to say. Oh, but I am now. I am now inside of this cat's body. But does she feel that way now? You're not cute like him. Does she feel like that now? You see, I felt her mood had been shifting away too, and it was quite different, yes, as we began to part ways in the house and be away from each other in the mornings and afternoons and the evenings too. The water and food bowls were always empty now, except for the wet crumbs left spilled over to the side to become as dry and solid as gravel stones for the hidden cockroach. Yes, the one that hid beneath the oven. I used to watch him at midnight. Yes, that hidden cockroach. Those gravel stones of my dried food it would enjoy. Even the dark brown and reddish ones, yes, those old wet ones that would cake over the plate and cling to the floor tiles like her shadows did. The ones that would cling there for a day, uncleaned like they used to be, clinging to the floor tiles like her shadow always did, while in my old body's arms, there in the kitchen, often every other night before the rose-petal vase and burgundy bottles of wine. Yes, and all of my wet cat food would smear into the tiles as they embraced and kissed, and stumbled back into the kitchen wall beside the calendar, where I knew I was losing time against the wall of the kitchen, unable to contain themselves from touching. Oh yes, touching one another, and there would be quite a few wet pieces between the water ripples of my bowl, casting their reflections back up into the ceiling fan where all of their embrace was beginning to expand itself off into the rushing footstep exits of shadows heading towards the bedroom door. And yes, oh yes, the sight of it all, left to flee and leave me sitting beside the litter box, my litter box, with days-old sense building unlike weeks ago, when the scents would last hours before they were cleaned and pulled away by Melinda. Days-old scents now. As I watched their final shadows disappear between a crease and the door of the bedroom. Great neglect, too, that left when I heard it lock. I had failed. I had to let her know. My frustration. I had to get her attention. Pay attention, Melinda, to my needs, please. Don't forget me, please, Melinda. No, never forsake me. Attention, I need your attention. Don't forsake me. Not ever, not now, ever again, Melinda. No. Please don't forsake me. In the morning, after they left the bedroom again, in my rage, I let her know. I left a wet spot on the pillow and over the blankets, and the smell of him that used to linger all day was now replaced by me. A spray, another spray, yes, until I exhausted myself. No more sense of his flesh, no more smells of my old dead skin lingering on the bed sheets or the pillows or the living room. I took care of his mark and soaked the pillow and sheets until I was drained. I took delight. Damn it, she needed a reminder. Especially when she yelled, Maddie! She had yelled. I took such delight in that yell. That's what she deserved for leaving me this way. The litter box and the bowls and the sense of the pillows and blankets and the sights and memories of them pressed together, falling into an embrace into the counter where I was losing time. She needed to be reminded that I was here, and that I had needs too, and that I was important. I would have to wait until her anger passed, and hope, yes, hope, I would see a change again in her. For now there was a pause of silence as she grabbed a towel and a bottle of cleaner and raced into the bedroom. A pause of silence with a long bout to patience, I told myself. Oh, damn it, she needed a reminder. Not on a moment too soon. Not on a moment too soon. I read the change in her. Yes, and an evil thought in her mind. And I felt an evil thought in mine, too. Her dark, brooding thoughts of getting rid of me. I could sense them. And I knew it. Saw confirmation in the way her eyes narrowed on me as she lifted the bed sheets up. A bottle of perfume in her hand, with light mist hitting the air. I ran back to the sofa and curled myself into a spiral. I hid in the darkest spot, far enough away from her so she couldn't reach inside and pull me away. I sat under the sofa there, watching, listening to the washing machine churn in the distance. Her curse words hitting the air as she dialed up my nemesis. Her mind racing, high-pitched and all, carrying in the words that she said to that wretched cat. I can't get rid of him. I mean, he's never acted this way before. No, never, not in all of the years that I've had Maddie. I just don't know what to do, my dear. I just don't know what to do. He's never acted this way before. Yes, that's what she said about me. After what I did to the pillow and to the blankets. Out of survival, I say. Survival. Survival of him. My old skin, the smell. What it had been doing to me. Stir crazy as of late. Yes, ever since he had gotten out of that hospital and been invited over the house and time again to be in the bedroom and the closed doors and the locked doors and the sounds of them and the sense and the smell and the memories I couldn't shake of once being in her arms in that body. Him now, that cat in the body, the litter box, and my lack of food and water. A pause of silence hit the air as she clutched the phone and paced the room, and I kept my eyes on her from a safe distance beneath the sofa. And I listened as she said, "Yes, I know that you don't like Maddie, I know. Well, maybe you're right. He has created some distance between us in a weird way. Yes. And well, I know you've been allergic to cats. And after what he's done, I don't know." And then there was another pause of silence. And I started to think that, well, I got scared, to be honest. The silence this time was longer and longer. And then she broke the silence when she finally said my greatest fear. I'll see what I can do to get rid of him. I'll see what I can do. Just as I expected. That's what she said. My greatest fear finally having materialized. She was going to get rid of me. She was going to be rid of this new body I was in. Of me and my spirit being around her. She was going to be rid of me now, wasn't she? To get rid of me finally. Oh, damn him. Damn that free will that the witch spoke of too. Damn it all. Oh, wretched. No. Damn it all. I had to change back now. I knew I did. Where might I end up if I didn't? In a shelter. In one of those wretched places where I might not last 2 weeks before they finally put the final needle into my arm and sent me into the next life. Perhaps 8 more to go. With all the women like Melinda, I would be disposable. 8 more lifetimes, perhaps. I couldn't go to a shelter, no. My heart was racing. Oh my God, Melinda, what were you doing? I needed to switch back. I needed to go back. The full moon was drawing very near now. I would need to eye the calendar in the wall. That full moon couldn't come fast enough. No. These hours of recent times and these days were passing as slow as years, and the minutes were becoming as slow as months. I must admit, in the night, after she said those words to him, in that night, "Come now, you moon," I glanced out the window and thought, as I stared up into the stars, into the darkness, up above the palm trees overlooking Hollywood, in the witching hours, I must have that moon arrive quicker, faster than the minutes that felt like months, and the days that felt like years, and the hours that felt like lifetimes. I am losing her again, I thought. I am losing Melinda's love. But I have lost it. Oh, God, I must get it back. Damn it all. Damn it all.